Your nervous system is not just managing your body, it is filtering your reality. Every single moment of your day, before you form a thought, before you make a decision, before you even open your eyes in the morning, your autonomic nervous system has already decided what kind of world you're living in, whether it's safe or dangerous, whether people can be trusted or not, whether opportunities exist or whether everything is a threat. And the terrifying part is you have no idea it's doing this. It happens beneath your awareness, beneath your thoughts, beneath everything you think of as you. There's a term for this in neuroscience. It's called neuroception. Dr. Stephen Porges, one of the most important researchers in autonomic neuroscience, coined it. And what it means is this: your nervous system is constantly scanning your environment for cues of safety or danger. Not your mind, not your conscious brain. Your nervous system and the results of that scan determine everything. How you perceive the person in front of you, how you interpret that email, whether you see possibility or threat when something new appears in your life. Your nervous system decides first. Your conscious mind just builds a story around that decision. And here's why that matters more than almost anything else I could tell you. If your nervous system is stuck in a threat state, and for many of you watching this, it has been stuck there for years, maybe decades, then it doesn't matter how many affirmations you say. It doesn't matter how clearly you visualize. It doesn't matter how many courses you buy, or journals you fill, or vision boards you create, because your nervous system is filtering all of that through a lens of danger. And a nervous system in danger mode does not build new realities. It survives old ones. So if you've been wondering why nothing seems to shift, why you keep attracting the same patterns, the same disappointments, the same kind of person, why the life you want feels like it's behind glass that you can see but never touch, this might be the most important thing you've ever heard. It's not your mindset. It's not your vibration. It's not the universe testing you. It's your autonomic nervous system doing exactly what it was designed to do. And it can be changed, not through willpower, through physiology. And if this is already making something click for you, subscribe, because everything I'm about to explain will change how you understand your own body. Let me walk you through exactly how this works. Dr. Porges' research identifies 3 distinct states your autonomic nervous system can operate in. Think of them as 3 floors in a building. The top floor is what's called the ventral vagal state. This is where you feel safe, connected, curious, open. Your heart rate is calm, your breathing is slow and deep, your face is expressive, you can make eye contact, you can listen, you can think clearly. This is the state where creativity happens, where real connection happens, where your brain is capable of seeing opportunities and acting on them. This is the state where reality reorganizes. And I want you to notice something. When you remember a moment where everything felt right, really right, where you were laughing easily or having a conversation that flowed without effort, or waking up with this quiet sense that today was going to be a good day, you were on this floor. You weren't trying to be positive. You weren't forcing gratitude. Your nervous system was in ventral vagal. And from that state, positivity wasn't something you had to manufacture. It was the natural output of a system that felt safe. That's what makes this so important. The experience most people are chasing through affirmations and visualization is actually a nervous system state. And when you know that, everything changes. The middle floor is the sympathetic state, fight or flight. Your heart races, your muscles tense, your digestion shuts down, your peripheral vision narrows, and critically, your perception shifts. In this state, neutral faces look threatening, ambiguous situations feel dangerous, your brain starts scanning for what could go wrong instead of what could go right. You're not imagining this. Your nervous system has literally changed what you're able to perceive. You could be sitting in a room full of people who genuinely care about you, and your nervous system will find the one person who glanced away too quickly and interpret it as rejection. That's not you being paranoid. That's sympathetic activation, rewriting your perceptual field in real time. And if you've been in this state for a long time, you don't even realize it's happening. It just feels like reality. It feels like the world really is that harsh. People really are that untrustworthy. And opportunities really do always fall through. You build an entire identity around what is actually a nervous system state, and then you try to manifest your way out of it while the very system that's building your perception is still locked in threat mode. It's like trying to see colour through a black and white filter. The colour is there. Your filter won't let it through. I want you to write in the comments top floor if you recognise yourself in the ventral vagal state, middle floor if you're stuck in fight or flight, or basement if you think you might be in shutdown. Just those 2 words. I read every single one. The bottom floor is the dorsal vagal state. Shutdown, freeze, collapse. This is what happens when your system decides that fighting or fleeing won't work, so it does the last thing it can do. It plays dead. You go numb. You dissociate. You feel nothing. Or you feel a heavy fog that makes everything seem distant and unreal. Depression often lives here. That feeling of being disconnected from your own life, of watching everything from behind glass, of going through the motions without actually being present, that's dorsal vagal. And if you've ever found yourself saying, I just don't care anymore, or nothing feels real, your system may have dropped to this floor, not because you gave up, because your nervous system decided that checking out was safer than staying engaged. And here's what nobody tells you about dorsal vagal. People around you will call it laziness. They'll call it apathy. They'll tell you to just get up and do something as if the problem is motivation. But motivation is a ventral vagal function. It requires a system that believes action leads to reward. Dorsal vagal has abandoned that belief entirely. The system has concluded that no action will help, so it conserves energy by shutting down non-essential functions. Your creativity goes offline, your ambition goes offline, your ability to feel pleasure or excitement or even basic interest in things you used to love, it all goes offline, and you sit there thinking something is deeply wrong with you as a person, when what's actually happening is a perfectly logical survival response operating at the level of your brainstem. Now, here's the critical piece. Most people in this space will tell you that you need to think your way into a different state, that if you just change your thoughts, your reality will follow. And that's partially true, but it completely ignores the order of operations. Your nervous system state determines which thoughts you're even capable of having. A nervous system locked in sympathetic arousal cannot generate thoughts of abundance and ease. It's neurologically impossible. The hardware won't run the software. You have to change the state first. Then the thoughts follow. Then the perception shifts. Then, and only then, does reality begin to look different. This is what the research actually shows. A study by Laborde and colleagues at the German Sport University found that people with higher vagal tone, which means their ventral vagal system is stronger and more flexible, showed significantly better cognitive flexibility. They could reappraise situations more easily. They could shift perspectives. They could see the same event from multiple angles instead of getting locked into one interpretation. In other words, their nervous system literally gave them access to a wider reality, not metaphorically, neurologically. Think about what that means for your daily life. Two people can receive the exact same job rejection email. One reads it and thinks, interesting, that wasn't the right fit, let me try somewhere else. The other reads it and spirals into, I'll never be good enough, nobody wants me, I should stop trying. Same email, same words on the screen, completely different nervous system states interpreting it. The first person isn't more positive or more resilient as a personality trait. Their vagal tone is higher, their system has more flexibility, and that flexibility isn't a gift, it's a skill that can be trained. And here's what makes this revolutionary. Vagal tone is not fixed. Your nervous system is not a permanent structure that you're stuck with because of your childhood or your trauma or your genetics. Dr. Richard Davidson at the University of Wisconsin has spent decades demonstrating that the brain's emotional circuitry is neuroplastic. It can change. It does change. And it changes through specific targeted intervention, not through hoping, not through wishing, not through reading one more book about it, through actual repeated embodied practice. So, how do you actually reset your nervous system? Let me give you 3 concrete pathways, because I know you've heard enough theory. The first is respiratory vagal stimulation. This one is so simple, it almost feels insulting, but stay with me because the science is extraordinary. When you extend your exhale, when you breathe out longer than you breathe in, you directly activate the ventral vagal pathway. This is not a metaphor. The vagus nerve physically runs through your diaphragm. When you slow your breath and lengthen the exhale, you mechanically stimulate the branch of the vagus nerve that signals safety to your entire system. Research shows that just 5 minutes of extended exhale breathing can measurably shift your heart rate variability, which is the primary biomarker of vagal tone. 5 minutes, not 5 weeks, not 5 months of therapy. 5 minutes to begin telling your nervous system that the threat is over. Try it right now if you want. Breathe in for 4 counts, out for 8, do it 3 times, and notice what shifts in your body. That subtle softening in your chest, that slight release in your jaw, that's your vagus nerve responding. That's your nervous system receiving a signal it may not have received in a very long time. If you actually tried that just now, write, I felt it, in the comments. I want to know. And here's the part that makes this even more powerful. The effects compound. Every time you practice extended exhale breathing, you're not just calming yourself down in that moment, you're actually strengthening the vagal pathway itself. It's like a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it gets. Over time, your resting vagal tone increases, which means your baseline state gradually shifts from threat towards safety. You don't have to breathe your way through every difficult moment forever. You're training your nervous system to default to a calmer state automatically. The first week, it takes deliberate effort. By the 3rd week, you'll notice your body doing it on its own. Your exhale gets longer without you thinking about it. Your shoulders drop, your jaw unclenches, your system is learning a new pattern, and it's learning it fast because this is what it was designed to do. The second pathway is co-regulation. And this one surprises people because it means you can't do this entirely alone. Your nervous system was never designed to regulate itself in isolation. This is fundamental to Porges's work, and it's one of the most beautiful things about human biology. We are biological creatures wired for connection, and our nervous systems literally calibrate off each other. When you're in the presence of someone whose system is regulated, calm, safe, your system begins to mirror theirs. This is not spiritual, it's neurophysiology. It's why a calm therapist can settle an anxious patient without saying a word. It's why a baby calms down when held against a regulated parent's chest. And it's why isolation is so devastating for nervous system health. Co-regulation is not a luxury. It is not an indulgence. It is a biological necessity for every human nervous system on this planet. So what does this look like practically? It doesn't mean you need to find a perfect partner or a therapist this week. Co-regulation happens in small moments. Conversation with a friend whose voice is calm and unhurried, sitting in a coffee shop near people who are relaxed and laughing, walking your dog with a neighbour who makes you feel at ease. Even watching someone on a screen whose nervous system is regulated can begin to shift yours. Research shows that your mirror neuron system activates during observed actions, whether they're live or on video. That's why some people feel calmer after watching certain videos, certain speakers. Their system is co-regulating with the person on screen. This is not a weakness. This is your biology working exactly as it should. Write "not alone" in the comments if you've been trying to do this entirely by yourself. Because that one belief that you have to heal in isolation might be the very thing your nervous system needs you to let go of. The third pathway is what I call graduated exposure to safety. And this one is especially important for those of you who've been in survival mode for so long that you've built your entire life around it. For those of you whose nervous systems have been in threat mode for years, safety can actually feel dangerous. That sounds paradoxical, but it makes perfect neurological sense. If your system has been calibrated to threat for long enough, the absence of threat registers as unfamiliar, and unfamiliar to a survival-oriented nervous system gets categorized as potentially dangerous. This is why some of you feel anxious when things are going well. This is why you can't relax on vacation. This is why the moment something good happens, you immediately start waiting for the other shoe to drop. Your nervous system has learned that good things are followed by bad things, so good has become a cue for danger. So the reset isn't about forcing yourself into relaxation. It's about slowly, gently teaching your system that safety is survivable, that you can be calm and still be alive. That nothing terrible happens when you let your guard down for 30 seconds, then 60, then 5 minutes, then an hour. You're not trying to trick your body. You're renegotiating its relationship with the present moment. Here's a practical way to start. The next time you notice you're in a moment of genuine calm, maybe you're sitting in sunlight or you just finished a warm meal, don't just enjoy it passively. Notice it actively. Put your hand on your chest and say, silently or out loud, "I'm safe right now." That conscious acknowledgement creates a bridge between your ventral vagal state and your conscious awareness. It teaches your system to recognize safety as a real, repeatable, survivable experience. And over time, those moments stretch. 30 seconds becomes a minute becomes 5 becomes your new normal. You're not pretending the world is safe when it isn't. You're teaching your body to accurately register the moments when it actually is. This is what I built the pursuit paradox around. 21 days of nervous system reset, not affirmations, not visualization, actual physiological rewiring. 7 days of discharging the accumulated survival energy your body has been holding. 7 days of rebuilding vagal tone through specific practices that take less than 15 minutes. And 7 days of graduating your system into a new baseline, one where your default state is ventral vagal, where your resting position is safety and openness and curiosity instead of scanning for danger. The link is in the description. And I want to tell you what happens when this shift occurs, because it's not what you'd expect. It's not subtle, and it's not slow. When your nervous system moves from chronic threat to ventral vagal, the world doesn't change. You do. But because perception is reality and your perception is generated by your nervous system state, the functional result is that your reality reorganizes. You start noticing things you couldn't see before, not because they weren't there, because your nervous system was filtering them out. Opportunities that were always present become visible. People who were always kind become trustworthy. Ideas that were always available become accessible. You find yourself saying yes to things you would have avoided. You find yourself walking into rooms without scanning for exits. You find yourself having conversations where you're actually present instead of rehearsing what to say next. The glass wall between you and your life dissolves. Not because you manifested its removal, because you changed the biological state that was generating it. I've watched this happen more times than I can count. Someone spends years trying to attract something using every technique, every method, every program. Nothing works. They start believing they're fundamentally broken. That manifestation works for everyone else, but not for them. That there's something uniquely wrong with how they're wired. And then, almost by accident, they spend 3 weeks resetting their nervous system, not thinking about manifesting at all, just teaching their body that it's safe to be alive, and everything starts moving. Jobs appear, relationships shift, money flows, conversations that would have triggered them a month ago feel manageable, even easy. Not because the universe finally heard them, because their nervous system finally stopped filtering out the very thing they were asking for. And the changes aren't always the dramatic ones. Sometimes the first thing people notice is that they sleep through the night for the first time in years, or that they responded to a text message that used to sit unanswered for days because opening it felt overwhelming, or that they cooked a meal instead of ordering delivery, not because they forced themselves, but because they actually wanted to. These sound small. They're not. Each one is evidence of a nervous system that has moved from survival to engagement. And they build on each other. Better sleep leads to better regulation. Better regulation leads to clearer thinking. Clearer thinking leads to better decisions. And suddenly the life you couldn't seem to build starts assembling itself around you. This is what I mean when I say reality reorganizes around you. It's not magic, it's not mystical. It's the single most practical, most grounded, most scientifically supported thing you can do for your life right now. Reset the system that is building your reality from the inside out. Stop trying to change the picture on the screen and start updating the operating system that's generating it. I know many of you have been living in survival mode for so long that you've forgotten what safety feels like. You've forgotten what it's like to wake up without the weight of unnamed dread sitting on your chest. You've forgotten what it's like to walk into a room and feel welcome instead of watched. That's not a failure of character. That's your nervous system doing its job in the only way it knows how. And now you know it can learn a different way. And I want to say this directly to those of you who feel like you've tried everything and nothing has worked. The reason nothing worked is not because you didn't try hard enough. The reason is that every approach you tried was aimed at your conscious mind, at your thoughts, at your beliefs, while the actual problem was running on a completely different operating system. Your autonomic nervous system doesn't speak the language of affirmations. It speaks the language of breath, of body temperature, of muscle tension, of vocal prosody, of felt safety. When you learn to speak its language, it responds quickly, reliably, measurably, and it works whether you believe in it or not. Because your vagus nerve doesn't care about your beliefs, it cares about your exhale. The pursuit paradox was built for exactly this. Less than 15 minutes a day, 21 days, no affirmations, no visualizations. Just your nervous system learning to come home to a state it may have never known or may have lost a long time ago. The link is in the description. You were never broken. Your nervous system was just doing what it was trained to do. And now, for the first time, you have the tools to retrain it, not with more thinking, not with more wanting, with the quiet, steady work of teaching your body that safety is not something you have to earn. It's something you can build, one breath at a time, one day at a time, one gentle signal at a time. You don't need to manifest a new reality. You need to let your nervous system show you the one that's already here. If this video helped you understand something about yourself that you couldn't see before, subscribe and share it with someone who's been stuck in survival mode. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do for someone is send them the explanation their body has been waiting for.